All right. Good evening, everyone. This is Ron, Monday, November 10th, a little after 6 p.m. So let's see if we have any questions or if somebody want to get us started. I think yesterday, among other things, we took a brief look at Exodus 32 and looked at the relationship between uh, God and Moses on the mountain and what that meant. Uh, any questions about that or anything else that we may have discussed before we see if there are any questions about anything else? Any questions about anything? Anybody?
I don't.
I did, I did not have a whole lot tonight, but uh, I looked at something that I could not pull together. I don't see it all yet. Uh, and that is John chapter 11, mainly where Jesus brings Lazarus back. And the relation, I think that has a relationship with chapter 10. Uh, but like I say, I looked at that and I have more questions than I do answers. But what drew me to that was on yesterday when Angela was talking about her situation at work. Barb made a statement that she created space and what that allowed, what took place after she created space. And I thought about that, how spiritual that was. And I remember us a while back talking about holiness and being whole and creating space with expectation for something to happen. And that was in my head and just just what they described or what Angela described, certainly that's what took place. uh and to me, when Jesus delays going to see Lazarus for a couple of days, it creates space, and I cannot see what his expectations were. What was he trying to create, unless it tied into what took place in chapter 10 when they said he was blasphemous and they wanted to stone him because they didn't think he was of God. So that's what I wanted to talk about tonight was the power of creating space, the purpose of it, and how does that tie into us and where we are in this journey that we're in. So So what do you guys think? You want to go down the rabbit hole with me? Because like I said, I don't have a lot of answers. Uh, or is it something else you want to talk about? I try to think of stuff that relates to us and where we are and help us see where we are. Uh, the only other thing and we probably would wait until we have a lot of more people on the line. But Audrey sent out a video that I thought was very interesting. It almost seemed as though one of us put it together, or someone from this group anyway, because it really speaks to the journey that we're on. To but maybe we'll wait and do that at another time. But any questions or comments about anything?
Ron, this is Ramel.
Yes.
The creating space. Um, you're bringing that up, brought to mind about what happened with the government being closed
Mm-hmm.
and the number of people that suffered or had to go through this opportunity. And when the Democratic, when they were able to pass the vote finally due to 8 Democrats supporting them, um, my realm world, they were really upset. A lot of them felt like, what was the point of going through all this? And
Mhm.
I'm wondering if that was not a moment of creating space for each of us to think about who and what our government is or isn't, and how we how we would manage that opportunity, how we would deal with that opportunity. Because even though the bill passed, we may be revisiting a similar government shutdown come January.
Yeah.
So I find the concept of creating space, and I think I'd like to see unfold understanding what to do in that, where we should turn our focus when we're in a moment that may need that created space.
I'll get it started. Uh, my view of that is a little different. Uh, Biblically, I thought about the scripture that we just talked about, and there was another one that just escaped me. God Almighty, and I'm bad at not writing things down. But as far as us being concerned, I thought the African or the black people not getting in the streets was creating space. Uh,
Okay.
I, I don't see it from a political perspective, or even the question you're asking. I'm sure it's very relevant from that perspective, the political side of it and the practical side. Uh, I see it as more spiritual though, and I think that why things go on and they have a a logical effect on the people, as I'm sure this has been devastating. uh but spiritually, what has it done? What opportunities has it brought? People closer together? Has it gotten groups of people talking? uh Globally, has it had any type of effect on people and bringing us closer together? Has it moved the church any to see that, uh, open your hearts up to the people and be who you are supposed to be, kind of thing. So I look at it from those perspectives more so than from the political side. Uh, but yeah, certainly that's a very valid point that you bring up.
Well, what I wasn't so much looking at it from a political side because I really don't understand that side. I was
Right.
thinking more of it was a an opportunity for those of us who aren't aware to
Yeah.
become more aware, I guess, to think about where we are in this situation as a nation, as in terms of how we care for others.
Yeah. Exactly. That's as we how we care for others is the point that's being exposed. Uh, and I couldn't agree more. Uh, I look at things that nothing. I think in no decision in this country other than or giving us a holiday for MLK Day or something, nothing has ever been done for us as a people. So, but in the spiritual light of it all of it has without us seeing it yet, I think all of it has worked in our favor. If that were not so, we would not be on this phone right now. Uh, so that's kind of how I keep my sanity and not look at a lot of stuff, because I think the restoration that we seek, uh, we're so close to it that we're right there. Uh, and I'm feel like I'm kind of rambling if somebody want to help with this, but the creating space, I think you don't always know or understand what you're creating space or what those expectations are, but you have faith in, as we've talked about, your desire for righteousness and your emotions of recognizing or believing that something positive is going to happen for the best outcome is what makes things happen. So I think that's where we are right now.
All right.
But
Thank you.
I don't know if I answered your question. Anybody else have any thoughts on that?
I'll build a little bit on what you already laid a foundation on, Ron.
Okay.
This is
Okay.
Barbara. Um, you started out talking about maybe going down the rabbit hole in John, and I'm looking at John 9th chapter, where in verse 39,
Uh-huh.
where the Pharisees are trying to trap him. And Jesus in verse 37 said that don't you recognize my voice? You're looking at me. And man says, Master, I believe. But in 39, Jesus said, I came into the world to bring everything into the light of day, into the clear light of day, making all the distinctions clear so that those who have never seen will see. And those who have made a great pretense of seeing will be exposed as
Yeah.
blind. Pharisee says, does that mean you're calling us blind? And the response was, if you were really blind, you would be blameless. But since you claim to see everything so well, you're accountable for every fault and failure. So, as you were talking about creating space, the space
Yeah.
allows for the universe to provide some response to those who are seeking. And you're right, we don't necessarily see everything that's happening, but our creation of the space is the expectation that it will, because we are
Yes.
aligned with the universe. And so that's our expectation. In other words, we're at the point now that we shouldn't have to see proof manifest immediately, although at some point it can. I'm not saying it won't, but we trust our frequency and our vibrations and our alignment and the voices of the ancestors to understand that when we say and speak things that are in alignment with the universe, it's going to happen. The word won't return void. So the creation space I see from two sides. For Angela talked about yesterday, I saw it from both the physical and the spiritual side. The physical side was that she removed herself so that she did not have to react from a human nature ability. In other words, you clapped at me, I'll clap back at you, kind of thing. So you create space to allow yourself the opportunity to align yourself with the vibrations of the universe, and in doing so, you will find that you are centered, and you don't allow that to take you or bother you as much as it would. The other, from the spiritual perspective, the creating that space then allows also that other person to see themselves, because we talked about that a little bit yesterday, whether they admit it or not, or whether there are other people around them who may overhear things at some point in time. That's what's happening all around us now in terms of the shutdown. There are so many people whose eyes are being opened literally and spiritually. Literally and spiritually. Now, the truer, more genuine response is spiritually, because that can be the more lasting response. If it just opens literally because it affects me right now, those eyes can be closed again down the road when I'm in my comfort zone again. But when your eyes are open spiritually, it's hard to turn back, and it's hard to go back. It's hard to unsee, if you will, what you've seen spiritually. And so whatever happens, Rainey and I were talking last night, and she says, you know, that the Democrats have caved in. I said, okay, well, but what has happened is that there has been space created that there are a lot of people that have seen the truth. They have seen the priorities of those who are supposed to be representing them. They have seen their own truth about what's important to me and my stance on some of these issues and is that something that I am really ready to deal with because I know I have not been right, kind of thing. So it doesn't matter. Our expectation is that it doesn't matter what it looks like. It works itself out in alignment with what the universe unfolds. So back in the physical. Okay. So it's going to be open again. That doesn't mean that people have not suffered. That does not mean that people are not going to continue to hurt for the time period between now and when it takes for the Senate to approve it and when it takes for it to hit the banks and blah, 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 blah. People's lives have been turned upside down already. There's a space being created. Now we're talking about affordable care, and I'm still talking about the physical right now. Well, we're talking about affordable care. Well, what's going to happen? People are already seeing their notices that their health care is tripling. And so it doesn't matter. Space continually is created so that the universe's will is exposed. And so, you know, our position should be, doesn't matter. It is what it is, because I trust that I trust that what I believe and what I desire is in alignment with the universe. And if that alignment is based on people being treated equitably, with justice, rightly, with righteousness, that that loving kindness is being expressed, that there's harmony and balance, and I align myself with that, regardless of what's happening out there, that will come to pass. And we will see it, and we won't necessarily see it, but we'll see it with our spiritual eye until it manifests. Long story short, everything that we see unfolding can be seen also as creation of space to allow the universe to provide answers to people. And that's why it's important for us to continue to see the universe, reflect back to the universe rather, and see the macro, what the desire is. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. Excellent. You pulled all that together. Yes, ma'am. Audrey.
I think that also fits into what we talked about yesterday, drawing out.
Yeah.
When we didn't get in the streets, it drew some stuff out of the other people. You know, that space, yeah, allowed them to not only see, but to draw out some realization on their part. So I agree, it did make space, and it also helped to draw out what it needed to draw out.
Excellent. Pramila, did that help? Thank you, guys.
That pulled it all nicely together for me.
It really did. Yeah.
So what I'm taking from that, every moment of whatever's going on, there's being space. Maybe we don't see it, but space is being made for individuals to have an opportunity to become more aware.
Vermel, especially when we don't let ourselves get caught up into the emotion of it and the fear of it and the whatever of it.
That's
we don't
very
get caught
important.
up into that.
Yeah.
Then yes, it always makes space for the spiritual stuff to happen.
Very good point.
You.
That's very important. Not get caught up in the emotional portions of it. Yes.
Right.
Recognizing who we are.
The other thing, Audrey just reminded me, we are spiritual antennas. that's part of what we are. And that's why we can hear from the ancestors, because we are open to that. And when we don't have that, when we keep things to ourselves and we keep things pinned up, and as I think Audrey said, you know, things make you angry and you don't breathe and you don't relax and you don't center yourself, and all of those things clog you up, clog up that channel, clog up the antenna, sends that static out there so that you can't hear clearly and you can't see clearly with the eye. And so, yeah, I agree with Audrey, and you, Ron. You gotta keep those things unclogged, and you do that through meditation and through aligning with the universe and principles of the universe.
Something we talk about all the time that is very powerful, that as I read this, I was trying to think of another way of looking at Jesus. And we've talked about him as a deliverer, but the deliverer means a lot of things. A deliverer is a comforter. A deliverer is an aid. A deliverer is something you can count on, that brings you support. Uh, Deliverance is there for protection. And all of these are descriptions of who you are, what we have uncovered, and what we are becoming. So when we talk about we use the name Jesus to talk about the the fact that we are no longer afraid, the fact that we're no longer living in a world of religious rhetoric and living in a powerless, uh, uh, environment, or we've learned what energy is. We've learned what spirituality is. We've learned who we are, and how to pull all these things together. We've seen that when we look at whether it's Abraham, Isaac, or Jacob, all of these are functions of the spiritual man. And so when we pull all this stuff together, the thing I looked at with Jesus was when he it made a point of keep it said on more than one occasions, Lazarus was the one whom he loved. And I put us in that category, that the responsibility that gives, because he says this is not, he is sleeping, this is not for his death, this is for the glory of God. So that's the portion that reminded me of us, that what we are doing is not selfish, or has any real personal agenda other than to see truth prevail, and righteousness be the driven factor of our motives and what we do. So all of that to me kind of factored in to look at that, because in the end, he does get emotional, uh, uh, in raising Lazarus, or raising truth. So I just thought that was all interesting, and I could see us in this. I just didn't know how to pull it all together. But to me, it's a very, very vivid and powerful description of what is going on right now. Anybody else? Anybody? Questions, comments? Okay. Well, like I said, we don't have to stay on the phone all night, but just in conclusion, I think every time we kind of get together again, we kind of see where we are. and recognize where we are, and I find comfort in that. Another side of that is recognizing that your Elohim is becoming more comfortable to me. It is not, 5, 10 years ago, the image I would have if somebody says you're Elohim, but it does not mean that you don't have daily struggles. It does not mean that you don't sometimes have doubt, but that doubt is becoming few and far between as I recognize this and have faith in what we do. So I thank you guys for that, for sharing this journey, and I think we're on the right path, and just keep doing what we're doing. So, but I won't hold you if no other thoughts or questions. Okay. Well, have a great evening. Enjoy the rest of your week and look forward to Saturday.
Thank you, everyone. Oh,
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
Thank you.
good
Goodbye.
evening.
Have a good evening.